Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mafalda Luís, and I'm a real estate lawyer in Portugal. Today, I'm coming here to talk to you about some real estate law in Portugal, and mainly the topic of this webinar today will be how is the real estate market nowadays in Portugal. But first of all, I would like to present myself. As I said before, my name is Mafalda Luís. I work in a law firm in Portugal called Caiado Guerreiro. It's one of the top 10 law firms in Portugal, and we are used to work in several areas of the law, not only on real estate, but we only have a lot of work regarding immigration, tax, litigation, and other areas of the law. Also, my office has three locations in Portugal. The headquarters are located in Lisbon, from where I'm speaking to you today, but we have also offices in the north and in the south. Also, because Portugal was a lot of influence in some other countries, we thought it was good to have offices in all the Portuguese-speaking countries, and we also have a colleague that is permanently living in China, so really an international law firm. My team is composed by several lawyers that speaks more than one language. Most of us speaks two or three, and we are really used to talk with international clients. But today what brings you here is the real estate market in Portugal. And I can tell you that the Portuguese real estate market is something that offers a really quality type of product. And it's something that is really transparent because you can always see all the types of documents. You just request the documents from the land office, and they will tell you who has the ownership, if you have any kind of encumbrance on the property, and all the history of that property, what happened and what kind of situation it's now. Also, nowadays in Portugal is quite on vogue, as you may see on all the news. We are having a lot of real estate investment coming from a lot of sectors. And since 2018, it's increasing and increasing the amount of people that want to invest in Portugal. And yes, that made the prices go up, but still we are one of the cheapest locations to invest in real estate comparing to other capital cities in Europe. And that is really something really attractive to a lot of investors that see Europe as a way of investment, but they don't want to pay the same prices for like in Paris or London, or even in some German cities like Munich. But also something that needs to be considered is that the real estate in Portugal has changed a lot. Before the crisis, our real estate were in really bad conditions, a lot of old buildings, not really attractive in a way of investment. However, since 2012, there's a program that we have here called the Golden Visa, where investor for the purpose of obtaining a residency invests in real estate and obtain residency that only demands for 7 days living per year in Portugal had changed the game in something really attractive, because nowadays Lisbon is a completely different city that changed a lot in 8 years since 2012, where all the properties that we had that were under a lot of degradations and really bad conditions changed to something really attractive. And nowadays we can say that we had developed our main points of investment and attracting investors for most. I can say that the main nationalities coming are US, Spain, Brazil, and nowadays we are also coming a lot from Germany. And those are the main investors from abroad investing in Portugal. However, Portugal is, when I'm speaking about real estate, we need to be aware that we have several types of real estate. This golden visa option that I told you that really changed how you see the city was more located to purpose of housing. However, we had a lot of other options of real estate. And I will now talk to you about all the options that you have about real estate in Portugal and what is the main status quo of the situation. So first of all, we have the office market, and this type of market has developed a lot since the 90s here in Portugal, where we are seeing more and more infrastructure for offering companies and other types of services, places to establish their services. And nowadays, the point is that the system, the amount of offices that are provided are growing. However, also it's not in the same proportion of the amount of requests that the population is needed, because a lot of companies has changed their headquarters to Portugal, so a lot of services came here. For example, BNP Paribas, the biggest French bank, moved to Portugal 3-4 years ago in force. And since that moment, they are investing in more and more and more in Portugal and bringing a lot of services here instead of being headquartered in other place. And right now, for example, they are divided through all over city because they cannot find a building that can support all the infrastructure that they have, because we are speaking here a lot thousands of employees. It needs to provide a lot of services. So this is the market that are growing the most in Portugal, office market, where people are really looking for this type of real estate that can deliver this function. However, another thing that is really important in Portugal, it is, and this is the biggest market, the one before I was talking to you is the one that we still have the most needs, but the biggest one that we still have in Portugal is the rental market, because Portuguese really do like to have huge shopping malls and infrastructure that allowed to have a proper way of shopping and provide services in this way. So since the 90s, this is our biggest market, and we are talking here about really huge spaces that attract a lot of foreign investment, and it's all over the country. You can see these types of investment. For example, in 2019, we had more than 8,900 stores sold, especially in the main head cities of Lisbon and Porto. But together with this market of retail, we also have the industry market, and this industry market is more located in the north, because if you see Portugal is it's a type of country that the third service, the third sector is the one that has the most people, and you can see by on all the main cities that this is a sector that employs more people. However, the industry market is really powerful in the north of the country, and you really need infrastructure for that market as well. And this is something that Portugal are still investing a lot, and right now we have one of the lowest rentals practice in the European Union, and that's why that is really attractive for for foreign companies that prefer to move to headquarters here. It's because we can provide quality high service for the lowest price of rental. So this is also a point that attracts a lot of investors to Portugal, to this point of the real estate. Then again, as I was saying, the housing market is something that has been booming in Portugal, especially after 2012, when the Golden Visa program started. But not only the Golden Visa had helped this sector, also the non-habitual residency regime, that is a tax regime that gives benefits to people that decide to move their residency to Portugal, had influenced a lot this type of market, because people decide, okay, most of them are retired, and that's why they also have this non-habitual residency. They decided to change their residency to Portugal, and this had influenced a lot on the promotion and improving of the cities, all the houses, all the infrastructure that are doing here. So since 2012, we are seeing a lot of rehabilitation works going out to all the city. The city looks completely different, completely new. not in a way that has no vibe, but in a way that it's a vibe, but it's a beautiful vibe. We are no longer seeing that really old and degraded buildings, but we are start looking for really beautiful buildings with a old structure, but that were under rehabilitation. And this had improved a lot the quality of life of the people that are living here, because most of the time the investors that invest on this property, they are not living here, they are providing rentals. They buy the property but then give it to rental purpose, and this had helped the citizens that are living in Lisbon a lot, because provide better conditions only at the rentals level and not on the purchase level. And this way also increased a lot of, had a double effect that no longer applied for the improving of the real estate, but also made Portugal go to the top 5 of most attractive countries for tourism, at least regarding the Airbnb platform. Because what happened, as I was mentioned, a lot of these people that invest in Portugal for real estate purpose, for the golden visa, for example, they don't live on the properties, but they give it for rental. And sometimes they don't give it for permanent rental, but they decided to put it for temporary rental. So they use, for example, this platform as Airbnb, Booking, and others to provide this type of services. And according to the statistics that were made by these platforms, these have helped a lot on the promoting of tourism in Portugal. So all the clients that I'm talking with sees the market in Portugal as a really, really good point, because it's a way of not only investing on something beautiful that can, for example, spend a couple of fix per year, but also a way of having profit, because it's a really tremendous rentable market, because you can in a long term you can have a lot of income coming from the rental of your property, and also provides you a way of obtaining, for example, tax benefit or citizenship, or even a permanent residence in a European country. And also regarding the income that you can have, all the statistics shows that the amount that you invest initially comparing to the long term that you can profit with, it's really a good deal for all the investors that are taking these kind of options. Also, it's important to say that in Portugal, we have a lot of mediation companies, namely real estate brokers that can really help this type of real estate, and they are really a way of supporting these and moving forward this type of investment and program in a way that, for example, if you want to invest, you just need to go to a real estate broker and say, I'm looking for a property XBDA, and they will provide you some options, and or in the opposite, I'm selling my property, and he will find you a ABC buyer for you. And this is something that is really popping up in Portugal. We have more than 6,000 more than 7,000 licenses granted by year, or that last year it was the number of registered ones, because you need a license to be a real estate broker. And then you are even included on this network of Europeans brokers that can really improve the web of your work and improve your way of working abroad a lot. And concluding my first webinar about real estate in Portugal, I will also, and after giving a brief presentation about what kind of markets you have in Portugal, what is our main points, like I said before, it's the housing market, rental market, and the leasing market. They are the really big powerful points in Portugal regarding real estate. But also I think it's important for you to understand that real estate acquisition in Portugal is a really simple, safe, and fast process. Because, for example, you can buy any type of real estate, and by picking a villa, plot, an apartment, a land, all the processes are the same and they are simple. And here in Portugal, we had something that was the having less bureaucratic the system, and you can even go to a notary and to perform deed. You don't even need to go to, you can go to a lawyer, I'm sorry, and perform the deed. You don't need to go always to a notary. And this is something that really makes the process simple. However, we have a lot of points. So for example, to give you an example, to purchase the real estate in Portugal, you just pick the real estate, and after that we always advise people to have a lawyer because it will be better for you. He can give you all the feedback regarding if the property has encumbrances, their mortgage, if it has a rental, because there is a lot of points that you should be aware of that sometimes real estate brokers don't have these like legal expertise to provide you this type of knowledge. So you just go there and you say, I want to buy this property, and your lawyer can make you a due diligence only with a request of some basic and documents, legal documents like tax certificate, land certificate, and some documents. After that, due diligence should be done. It's something that we always advise our clients. Please don't trust only the word of some person, even if you know it. Please do always a due diligence. But this is, as I said, something simple that you can analyze from the documents, at least in the case of the lawyers. Also, something that you should be aware is here in Portugal, there is a guaranteed effect for 5 years after the property was built. So, for example, you are buying a property that is up new and something happens, a pipe breaks. We are not speaking here about some catastrophe that may happen. But for normal reasons, something broke, like a pipe or the electrical installation were not correctly done. You can action this guarantee that provides you that the developers fix this defect, and it's valid for 5 years after the delivery of the property. Also, it's important that you can, here in Portugal, you can always check with the owner of the property. So no matter where you are, you can always go online and you just put the legal identification of your property, and you will always see that your name is there. And something that is sacred in Portugal is the fact that real private property, it's sacred. You're not losing your right of under is any circumstance. Okay, if you have debts to the state of someone and you go to a legal court and it's declared that you need to lose your property for paying a debt, it's something, but you don't lose the right of property under something, just for example the pass of time, or because the government wants to pass a road on that point or something like this. It's something really sacred for us here. So today, that was my first webinar about real estate. I'll be back about some other topics here in Portugal, about real estate, about more specific topics. And if you have any question, just let me know. It will be a pleasure for me to answer any kind of queries that you may have. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.